5K Q&A. You know, being independently published is hella stressful, and my pre-sale is supposed to start tomorrow, but like, I don't know if it will. I don't know. Before I get into the questions you guys asked me, I just wanted to really thank you all for subscribing to my channel and watching my videos, and especially engaging with me in the comment section. You guys so often make my day better. I learn a lot from you guys. Even when I'm arguing with some people in the comment section, I feel like I have to reflect on my own answers and my own worldviews and see things from perhaps a different perspective, or just like re-examine my own perspective, and I really appreciate that. It's cool. You guys are cool. So I did initially, I was like, okay, I'm gonna write all the questions down. I'm gonna prepare answers. And then I thought, that's not gonna be as fun. Okie dokie, Smokey. Okay, so right off the top on my community board, I got a couple questions about gaming, and I have actually been giving this a lot of thought, because every time somebody says to me, just play the game, it makes me not ever want to play. So just a heads up to you guys, that's not a welcoming attitude. That's not convincing me at all to relinquish my non-gamer title, which I greatly enjoy. From Barnacle Boy, after watching all of these trailers, do you think that you would ever get into gaming / give it a go? Okay, and the other question, Nico Karma said, how do you feel about playing games that you've watched the trailer for, or gaming in general? They're kind of the same question. And Frosh666, who named my Overbook series, said, love your reactions. Thank you. Also gives me a different view, especially as a gamer. Has your view on games also changed? So these three questions, I'm gonna kind of answer them all together. Has my view on gaming changed? Yes, absolutely. I stumbled into game trailers totally by accident. This is gonna sound really stupid, and in hindsight, like, it's just ignorance, really. I didn't know that games had stories like that. You know, like, I didn't really understand how much work went into the narrative of gaming. Of a game. And so have my views changed? Like, absolutely. I understand much better now why someone would sit and watch someone else play a game. Previously, my idea of gaming had been like all first-person shooter, I think that's right, kind of games, you know? And that I never really understood why anybody would be so invested in that. But now, understanding that there's a story behind it, of course I understand why. And who will I game? And which game? You know, I mean, if I did, I feel like Witcher 3 is not a good one to start on, right? That's not a good first game. It has been my first everything in gaming, so I feel like it should be my first game. But there are three main points to why I have not and will not in the near future start gaming. First, I'm gonna love it, and I'll never be able to do anything else. Like, I just won't get any work done. I'll never leave my house. I'll start growing a neck beard. You know, it'll be a whole thing. Second, I'll be bad at it, and I'll hate it. Because one thing about me is I am very bad at being bad at things. If I have like a natural affinity to something, I'll definitely work to get better at it, and I enjoy that process. But if I'm really horrible at something, it's very, very hard for me to not have that lack of ability reflect on my self-esteem, like on my self-worth. If I tried gaming and I was bad at it, I would just never try again. I would hate it. And the third thing is, you guys tell me this is an interactive movie. Well, I don't know if I really want an interactive movie. I think I just want somebody to tell me a story. Probably because I am writing and I am already creating an interactive story, for me at least, where I'm creating this world, I'm making the decisions for these characters. And maybe it's laziness, like I don't want to have to work for a story. I don't know that I want to have to work for a story. So I've been thinking about picking some arbitrary number, like once I hit this many subscribers, I will for sure start gaming. I don't know if I'm gonna do that, but maybe. From Gerson Chavez, do you have a boyfriend, and if not, would you marry me? No, I don't have a boyfriend, and yes, I will marry you. Keep in mind that I plan on marrying, Keanu Reeves, Spider-Man. You know, I'm like Marshmallow's chick on the side. I mean, I hear he's choosing between me and Yenny, that's fine. There have been a couple other marriage proposals that I've accepted on the channel, so if you're into sharing, we can talk about it later. From, oh my gosh, I'm gonna mess up your name. I'm so sorry. Andrzej Morawkowski?
Andrzej Morawkowski.
Morawkowski. Ski. I'm so sorry, forgive me. Asks, which piece of art, music, book, movies, etc. greatly influence your outlook on that particular genre, medium, and why? Oh, that's a complex question. Okay, so like what book got me really into reading, or what movie got me really into movies, or whatever. I'm going to assume that that's how you meant that question. For books, I've always really loved audiobooks and being told a story since I was really young, and so I don't think I could pick one thing. I do know that Harry Potter was the first time that I really got into reading like something over and over again and really falling in love with it. But I had read The Hobbit that I really liked, and I had a BBC like radio drama cassette tape of The Hobbit. That was cool. For music, I don't know. For me, everything is about a story. So if a song has a story in it, I will love it. Or if I hear a song for the first time in the middle of a movie or a TV show where I'm really connected to what's going on, or I'm really invested in it, then I'm gonna love that song. So I don't really have an answer there. And for TV shows, probably Buffy. Buffy's probably the one that really got me into it. And I remember I said something once to my friend's dad, who is a writer and producer, and I said that episodic shows, I watch them because I want to watch them. But serialist shows, I watch them because I need to watch them. And the way that Buffy, I felt like I needed to watch what was next. I needed to find out what happened. That has really influenced whether or not I like something and how I'm writing and a lot of different things. I hope that kind of answers your question. Okay, from Richard Watson. All the love to you. Have you ever been to a convention? Oh, to my everlasting shame, no. By the time I was old enough and had enough money to go to conventions, I was living here in Ottawa. I was coaching boys basketball, and inevitably every year the convention fell on the same weekend as a tournament, and I was never able to go. But it's definitely on my list of things to do when we're allowed to go to things again. Damon Salvatore. What hint, tip would you give an amateur writer? Congrats, and now on to the 50K. I know, 50K, right around the corner, I'm sure. A tip for an amateur writer. I don't know if I have a tip for an amateur writer other than you're gonna suck. It's gonna suck at the beginning, and you're gonna get better like anything, so just keep writing, you'll get better at it. But I will say the best piece of advice, writing advice I ever received, I think I just like read it on a blog or something, was cut your first 3 chapters. And this is something like whatever manuscript you're working on, cut the first 3 chapters and read chapter 4 as if it's chapter 1 and see how it goes, because I'm 95% sure that it'll make your story better. Mad Dog 8995 asks, I love writing characters, but I suck at dialogue. What are some ways to improve? Oh, and then Richard answered. What's your answer, Richard? For me personally, how I write my dialogue, or when I felt like I was having trouble writing dialogue, I would go to a coffee shop and eavesdrop on people's conversations. Or like when I was in a store or something, I would listen to other people's conversations and listen to how they spoke back and forth when they interrupted each other and stuff like that. Even like you're hanging out with your friends, just listen to how they talk and how the conversation flows and weaves, and yeah, eavesdropping. Be super rude. Samo asks, apart from YouTube, what do you do with your free time? Recently, I think probably because I'm a sucker and because the world's been in such chaos, I've been binging Hallmark movies. The W Network has their fall harvest on right now, and there's like 2 a day. It's great. While I'm editing a photo or something, I just have it on in the background, and there's just love is in the air, It's great. I pretend that I play this guitar, and I sometimes do. I have a piano that I also pretend that I play. I work out, I go to CrossFit, movies and TV I really, really love. I love getting, you guys know, I love getting into a series or a story or something. Ruben McInnes asks, if you could be a god of any mundane thing, what god would you be, and what perks would my worshippers get, and what punishments would they get if they displease me? I would be the god of interpersonal communication. Rewards for my followers would be like some base level version of like empathetic clairvoyance, where you could feel what the person you're having a conversation with is feeling, so you can better understand where they're coming from. And punishments would be like losing your voice. You just wouldn't be able to speak. You'd have to sit there in silence and just listen. Paul A asks, which 3 things would you take to a desert island? A plane, a pilot, and a fully charged iPad with a new series downloaded onto it already. Carolina Borovic. Do you roll the R? Carolina Borovic. Do you roll the R? You guys can tell me. I'm probably saying all of these names wrong. I'm really sorry. Okay, there are a few questions here. I'll go through and answer them one by one. Okay, so first, what do you think about the gaming community? For the most part, I think that the people I'm engaging with on this channel are really, really great. I always feel like I leave a conversation happier than when I started it. Not all the time, there are some not nice people, but for the most part, I'm really enjoying you guys, as I said at the top of the video. Do you like anime? Unfortunately, I don't really connect with cartoons very much. The only cartoons that I've ever really watched was Avatar: The Last Airbender and that X-Men TV show. I used to watch that in university on YouTube, I think. Your book, at least, first as I remember, was self-published. No? Yes, my books are both self-published. Did you try to talk to a publisher first? How's your experience with that? So I was querying for about a year, which means what you would read on the back of the book or the dust jacket is essentially what I was sending out to literary agents, and I didn't get picked up by a literary agent. I got impatient. A friend of mine self-published a book, so I just decided to go for it. Oh, and hi. Oh, and then she added a question after, what's my favorite board game and what type of board games do I like most? I don't know if I have a favorite or a type that I like most, but I've been really into Timeline recently, which is a fun one. I like Blockus, and I really like Hanabi. I do remember going through a Risk phase where all I wanted was a shiny new Australia. I always tried to get Australia. One Monkey asks, talking about games, how about watching cutscene compilations and doing story reviews for a game like you would for a book? Something like Horizon Zero Dawn would work well for this. I think I responded to you, yeah, we went back and forth a little bit on this, and I think that that's a really interesting idea. I wonder if it would be effective. I guess I could try one and see how that goes, but I really feel like sometimes, and not a lot, like I said, I really appreciate you guys, and for the most part I feel like the little community I've finagled here is so great, but sometimes I do get some responses that are, I don't know if aggressive is the right word or defensive, that I'm treating these game trailers or these people's games as just like a small piece of the story, and I'm looking at it as if it's the whole story. The reality of the situation for me is that I'm not playing these games, so I don't know the whole story. All I have is this snippet, and this is what I'm looking at as a self-contained story, you know? So, I don't know. You guys can let me know in the comments what you think, whether or not watching cutscenes and analyzing something from a story perspective without playing the game would be something you would be interested in, and if you think it's something that I would enjoy. Arthur Murrow, sorry, I for sure butchered that, was making fun of how I made a drink, and that's fine. And then John Jay just made a comment about what I said about Halloween. Halloween being on a Saturday and the time change. Like, the best Halloween ever in 2020 is taking it from me. It's just not fair, guys. It's just not fair. Miha Kirbis, I'm so sorry, asked Jurassic Park audiobooks. Your thoughts? I do remember listening to them a long time ago, but I have not listened to them in so long. I've been meaning to re-listen to it and then watch the movie, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. Probably because Netflix was so ready with all their pandemic series just pumping them out. MadDog8995 asked another question. Have you read a lot of J.R.R. Tolkien's work, and will you be watching the Amazon Lord of the Rings series when it comes out? Reading this comment was the first time I learned that one is coming out. And I've only read The Hobbit. I definitely tried to read Lord of the Rings. Maybe if I got it on an audiobook, that would be better. But I felt like I was at Bilbo's party for 11 years. Like, whoo, that chapter felt like it lasted forever. I've never tried again. Maybe I could. I have my little figurines, guys, from the box sets that I bought when I was in grade 7 and 8, and I grew up watching the cartoon ones, and there was only 2 of them, I think, and Tom Bombadil was in it, just singing a jaunty tune. So yes, I definitely will be watching the Amazon series whenever we get it. I predict now that I will just like shamelessly love it regardless of what it is. That said, I've never seen The Hobbit, and I never watched The Hobbit because I felt like if Peter Jackson wanted to make a good movie, he would have made 1 movie, but he wanted to make money, so he made it into 3, and I've just never watched it because of that. Okay, from Ronald oh my god, Ronald H. Forgive me. What is the new character you prefer the most in all of those you've discovered throughout trailers you've reacted to so far? Is it eyebrows? You can do a top 5 if you love more than one. Okay, favorite characters. The little brother from the Overwatch one, even though he's not a character in the game. He was so great. He was so excited. I loved him. He was great. Marshmallow, obviously. Who doesn't love Marshmallow? Especially after that Gwent trailer. Oh my god, so good. I watched it over and over again after I turned off the camera. In Warcraft, I feel like I don't have a favorite yet because I want to get to know them better before I start picking, and it's still quite surface level. Yeah, that's all that's really coming to mind. The panda. In a hat! Be friends instead. Tayon Alexander asked, wonder if you use any of your experience in sport within your writing. No, not at all. I have no real reason to use any of that stuff. It doesn't connect to my story at all. So none of my characters are basketball players, that's for sure. Nahilix asked, do you have a queue of things to react to, and are you open to more videos? I don't know if that was a legit question, but I will just tell you guys that right now what I'm basically doing is I have a few games that have a huge amount of trailers that I'm working through, and I have my list that I'm also working through, and then I just throw in random things that I like. And when I finish my list, I will start asking for more videos again. But that said, I do really like it when you guys request something, because the more I read it, like, don't send me links, please don't send me any more links because I don't know what to do with them. But when you request something, the more I read it, the more likely I am to bump it up the list. I do like that as kind of a barometer of what I should be doing next. Brabble Beast asked me a hella intense question, I think. As to your questions for Q&A, I can think of several. I mentioned before in a previous comment that I am curious about what your views are around political subjects and your opinion on the Black Lives Matter movement, but I don't think your Q&A session is an appropriate video to discuss those, at least not in depth. And then I said, sure, hit me with your question. But they also asked, what I am curious about is your opinion of your content. Do you love everything you are doing? For the most part, yeah, I love everything I'm doing, especially with these game trailer videos or just talking to you videos. It's way easier to cut together. Do you have more favorite subjects? Yeah, I think I like talking about movies and TV shows and books more than I like talking about games, just because I'm more familiar with that. It's not that I don't like talking about games, you guys know, I have no idea what I'm talking about. So I like to be able to engage in the story a little bit more actively as opposed to just like a passive learner. And do you think there is a conflict to what you want to talk about and what works well for the audience? Yes, and I stated this in the WandaVision reaction that I don't really know how I feel about, I mean, I do and I don't. I think it's getting better. I don't really know how I feel about my non-gamer watches videos getting so many more views than my others because I am not actually a part of this community. I'm just an outside observer. Yet that is what my audience, you guys, seem to be responding to the most. That said, if for some reason my channel was taken away from me, canceled, or I was locked out or whatever, I would still watch game trailers, so I guess it's fine. Oh, you're Dutch. I thought you were American, asking about American stuff. Okay, so one of his first questions was basically like, have I noticed any difference in the way people treat me because of my ethnicity? Yes, it's very subtle because people often perceive me as white. White people often perceive me as white. I have very subtle. It's hard to kind of get into. I'll try and think of a couple examples, but I think that for me being 6'1", which for our metric people is 185 centimeters about, and being loud and opinionated and biracial and a woman, I often don't know what thing people are reacting to. Is it that I'm 6'1"? Is it that I'm an opinionated woman? Is it that I'm biracial? I don't know. I do know that I have been told throughout my life regularly that I am very articulate. I've been told this upwards of 2 times a month, which is a lot. And previously, I just kind of took it like,
yeah, I am. I listen to a lot of audiobooks.
I took it as a compliment, but it wasn't until recently that I thought, why are you so, why are people so surprised that I'm articulate? It's like when they've discovered that I've written a book. You wrote a book? As if it's like the craziest thing in the world. And like, I don't know if they're doing that because I'm biracial, because I'm a woman, because I'm an athlete, probably because I'm an athlete, and there are all these stereotypes around that. But it's very subtle for me. One thing that I'll add pretty quickly here is that I do get "where are you from?" a lot. Not as much as I used to, but it still happens. And I'll say Toronto and they'll be like, "But where are you from?" And the initial question isn't the problem. The problem is that they don't accept my initial answer. And they're basically telling me that I can't be Canadian because I'm not white. I've definitely experienced far, far, far more overt and blatant sexism than anything related to race that I've noticed, at least. Maybe I should make this its own video. As I'm reading the rest of the comments, this is very involved and I'm gonna spare you guys. I'm gonna leave it with my personal experiences of race and racism for now on that one, but thank you for your question and I will definitely answer it in a later video because you were definitely right. Not that I don't feel comfortable answering it here, I just feel like it's a longer answer than I want to. I don't want to make this an hour-long video, you know? This is not a question, but somebody recommended that I watch Hamilton, and I've definitely seen it. And I guess this is a question for you guys, especially Americans who have seen Hamilton. If you watched it for the first time when it came out on Disney Plus like I did, I'm gonna tell you my reaction to it, and I want to hear about your reaction to it. So, I'd heard the music before. Obviously, it's shot really, really well. I would have appreciated more wide shots where I could have seen everything that was going on stage, but whatever. Of course, the singing was great. We know who wrote the show because maybe his singing wasn't as great as everybody else's, but it was cool. For me, when King George came out and started singing, that's when I started cringing. That's when I was like, wow, these men built what they were fighting to get away from. I'm Canadian. I don't know what it's like to live in the United States. I don't know really. It's all speculation and I could be totally wrong, right? From here, it looks like the 1% or the controlling powers or however your government was set up, they have become the new monarchy. It looks like it's just, they became what they were fighting against. And that's really sad. It was tough. It was tough to watch the rest of the show after that a little bit, just because I had that in my mind so much. And I read an article after I watched it saying that Hamilton was written for a different America. And I think that's really true. And I want to know what you guys, especially my American viewers, think about that. Somebody asked about The Mandalorian. I haven't finished it yet. I might just watch it and then make a short video telling you guys what I thought about it. And that's it. I got one more late edition question, which I saved for the end because I don't know why. And somebody asked about my tattoos and what they mean. And I have several, and I got them all at different points in my life. My first one I got when I was 21 years old. Can you guys see that? It's an ankh, and in the ankh it has the day my mother was born, the day she passed, and her last name. So that was the first one I got. I got that one when I was 21 years old. A year or so after that, I got me a nice maple leaf. I got that the Canada Day before I left to play pro basketball in Germany. The next one I got was on my side. I have a small symbol there. Then after that, I got my father's handwriting and kind of a quill on my side around that symbol that says keep writing your story. And I got this one, Mischief Managed, on the same day. So I played a year of professional basketball in Germany, and I really had a horrible year, one of the worst years of my life. And I thought I was done with basketball. I came home, and over the next couple years realized I wasn't. I was in my mid-20s at that point, started training. I ended up signing a contract in France. A friend of mine helped me out with that, and that's when I got this one because my mischief was managed and I was going back to Europe. And the most recent one I've gotten is this one here. Me and my sister Keisha, who, if you guys have watched all my videos, you've met her before. We both got this, and because it's representative of our last name. I guess that's it. I could also make a video if you guys are interested about self-publishing, which has been a whole ordeal. At this moment, I had no idea how much of an ordeal it was. I thought that my book would be in pre-sale today, but actually, some places it's live, although hopefully that date is changing, so be sneaky if you want to get it super early, and some places it is in pre-sale. So there will be links in the description if you're interested in my second novel. actually before I started filming this, very stressed trying to figure out whether or not I was going to be able to actually have a pre-order period until November 26th, which is the release date. I think I will be, fingers crossed.
But alas, no.
Magic Required is available now. There's a bunch of links in the description if you want to buy it. I really appreciate your support. If you have already bought it and you've read it, please review it because that's really important too. I just got a few copies of these. I didn't order too many yet, but Dominion Required, my second novel, goes on pre-sale.
I weep for this hopeful version of myself. She knows not the perils ahead.
The release date is November 26th. If you do decide to pre-order my book, first, thank you so much. And second, please enter the pre-sale giveaway where there will be t-shirts and other prizes that I will be giving out, some postcards through my pre-sale, and a huge sneak peek. 5 chapters will be emailed to you when you enter the pre-sale contest.
If you happen to be one of those people who gets a copy that's already live before November 26th, still enter the giveaway. I would love for you to win a prize. I'd love to send you a thank you postcard, but you won't need the sneak peek.
Thank you so much for your support. If that's liking a video or commenting, subscribing, buying a book, reviewing a book, whatever it is, I really appreciate it. You guys make my day better all the time. And until next time, may the force be with you. Live long and prosper. I'll be back.